5 years after my cliff fall and amnesia, a man who claimed to be my husband showed up at my door. He blocked the entrance, looking down his nose at me. I've already married someone new. Don't delude yourself into thinking you're coming back to the Locke family. I'll give you one chance to buy a ticket exile. Stay gone for good, your existence is an embarrassment. Richard, my ex-father-in-law, trailed after him, equally disgusted. If you hadn't once done our family a favor, we never would have let you through the front gates. Zero help and nothing but disgrace. Our family recognizes only one daughter-in-law now, Stella. There's no seat left for you. I stared, stunned and bewildered. Who said anything about returning to the Locks? Who wants to rekindle anything with this so-called husband? Isn't Sterling from Riverdale tempting enough? Or has Logan changed his mind? Maybe Silas has hung up his courtroom scalpel for good? Before we continue, smash that subscribe button and tell us in the comments where you're tuning in from. When I opened the door and saw the man, I was honestly dazed. His brows were knit so tight I thought he had the wrong address. Before I could shut the door, he spoke first, voice dripping with contempt and regret. Serena, you're actually alive. They say you have amnesia, no wonder you vanished for 5 years. If I hadn't spotted your text online, I'd never have known you weren't dead. He said my name like we were old friends, yet it felt as if he'd been rooting for my funeral. I didn't know him, and my forehead creased in irritation. He acted blind to my blank stare, unconcerned, I've remarried. Stella is my wife now, beautiful, famous, and she pulls investors into the family. Even if you're breathing, I won't betray her. Forget about crawling back to the Locks. He delivered the next line like charity. But I'll wire you a fortune and buy a ticket exile you, live comfortably, just never show your face again. I rolled the offer around in my head. Only after replaying it did I realize the stranger must have been my pre-amnesia husband. His entire speech boiled down to, I should have stayed dead, because my survival is an inconvenient blemish on his resume. He wants me gone, permanently, so I can't contradict whatever fairy tale he spun. I looked him up and down, then answered with absolute sincerity, I don't want your money. I don't remember you, and I'm not interested in fighting your new for a seat at your table, relax. Buy a ticket exile? Not happening. If I vanish, God knows what chaos those other three would unleash. I shook the thought away and focused on the pair in front of me. From my first sentence the man's patience evaporated. After my refusal his face turned the color of slate. Before he could retort, an old man darted forward, finger already wagging. We let Julian marry you to settle that debt of gratitude. Offering cash to send you away is already generous, don't push it. Stella and Julian are blissful, and Helen and I adore our daughter-in-law. There's no room for you. You claim you don't want money or drama, yet you reject exile? You're fishing for a bigger payout. Take it or leave it, there's nothing more. I blinked, stunned by the mental gymnastics. Are you hard of hearing? I said I don't know you, and I don't want back into your precious Locke clan. Whether I leave the country is none of your business. By your own logic I'm no longer family, so get off my porch, now. I've never been the mild type, I don't care who you are, if you poke the bear, you get the claws. My brazenness ignited their rage like a match to gasoline. Julian lunged, clamping my wrist and yanking me toward the driveway. Leaving isn't your choice. When the Locke family decides on buy a ticket exile, do you think we need permission? The instant his fingers locked, I grabbed my phone to dial 911. Richard slapped it from my hand, it shattered across the tiles. Refuse wine and you'll drink wrath. We tried civility. Now enjoy the lesson, see if your arm is stronger than our thigh. I saw red, thrashing to break Julian's grip, but he only squeezed tighter, threatening to snap bone. I clawed at him and shouted, I don't know what intel you scraped together, but did no one warn you I'm off limits? Touch me and you'd better weigh the fallout. Julian paused. For half a heartbeat I thought he'd listened, then came the sneer. You? An orphan, what backing could you possibly have? Look at your clothes, not even a label. Since when does bargained and polyester bark at the Locke family? I glanced at my $10,000 bespoke linen and opened my mouth to roast his blindness, but Richard cut in. Maybe that tumble didn't just steal your memories, it scrambled your brain. Threaten us? Study the Locke ledger, we've clawed into Riverdale's third-tier elite. Credit Stella for that. You wouldn't understand. Enough, move. Third-tier elite? So that's why the name Locke rang 0 bells. I'd braced for some reclusive dynasty and got a C-lister on the social stock exchange. Father and son monologued without yielding a syllable to me. Bodyguards gagged me and hauled me through the front gates into the Locke mansion. The instant we crossed the threshold, a sequined woman glided over, Julian's new, Stella. She pecked him on the lips, then pivoted to inspect me. Oh, so this is the back from the dead ex-wife? No wonder Julian never bothered searching the ravine. Talk about a face that sinks ships. I'd be embarrassed too. She tilted her chin so high her nostrils became twin skylights. I rolled my eyes, too bored to engage. My silence inflated her even more. She conjured some vintage first wife drama. Let me spell it out. Julian is mine. Flirt all you want, he won't glance back. We're different species. She jabbed a manicured finger at a commercial looping on the flat screen, pride dripping. I'm the face of Luxia skincare, my name pulls capital cloud. Compare that to your hollow pretty shell. Accept exile, it's your only exit ramp. I studied her gloating grin, then the no-name commercial I'd never heard of. If the gag weren't muffling me, the laughter would have echoed off their marble. Birds of a feather really do flock together, one family of utter morons. The bodyguard shoved me into a shockingly shabby room. From the layout, it was obviously the servants' quarters. Since the moment I woke up, I'd never been housed somewhere this decrepit. Who knew how long the place had sat empty? Every surface was filled with dust. Couldn't the Locke family even afford a cleaner? I made short work of the rope around my wrists and the gag over my mouth, then stretched lazily. Since I was here, I might as well get comfortable, yet they'd pay for treating me like this. When Stella walked in and saw my untied hands, she blanked for a second, but she didn't dwell on it, simply assuming the bodyguards had freed me. She dumped a pile of unidentifiable scrap metal, clapped the dust from her palms, and acted as though she'd just touched something filthy. Hey, these are your things. Everything else was tossed. Julian told me to hand these over so you can take them when we ship you abroad. I tilted my head at the heap of what barely qualified as junk. She flicked invisible dust from her clothes, fingers deliberately brushing the necklace at her throat. Eyes glued to it, huh? Never seen a rock this big? Julian bought it for me, 500 grand. Someone as unlucky as you can only stare. You flew to the top of the tree, then dropped off the cliff and turned back into a rat. You'll never get close to something like this again. And look at those tacky metal trinkets on you, hideous. Actually, I'd never seen a sapphire so puny. I'd reject it for a ring, let alone a pendant. From a distance it was almost invisible. Still, I kept quiet. Arguing with idiots wastes saliva, and they wouldn't understand civil speech anyway. My silence clearly convinced her I was heartbroken and speechless, so she rattled on, desperate to flaunt Julian's affection. Before leaving she tossed out, words alone won't drive it home. Tonight you'll hear for yourself just how much he loves me. Before I could decipher that threat, a regal old lady stepped in. If my guess was right, this was Julian's mother, my ex-mother-in-law. I expected more ridicule, but instead she beamed at me with gentle warmth. Serena, you're alive. Seeing you well, Mom is so relieved. Tears even glimmered in her eyes. Yet she stayed well clear, not bothering to embrace me or look me over. I knew her words were hollow. A woman already married, then drifting for 5 years, what future could you have here? I'm only thinking of you, child. Take the money, fly abroad, settle where no one knows you, that's the sensible path. She preached earnestly, afraid I might cause trouble after leaving, so she played the soft-played card. When I stayed mute, her act collapsed, she stood to leave. Tomorrow a reality show crew will livestream from the mansion, so we'll be busy. The morning after, you go. Pack up and mull over my advice, I only want the best for you. Once the door shut, quiet finally descended. I turned over the scrap of intel the old woman had provided. A reality show livestream tomorrow? Looked like a golden opportunity. Night fell, sure no one would disturb me again, I stepped forward and locked the door. Fumbling in the dark, I confirmed there were no cameras. Of course, in their eyes, what threat could a commoner pose? I stripped the metal doodads from my clothes, tacky in Stella's opinion, lightsabers in mine. A few twists and clicks later, a screen flared and a miniature keyboard appeared, a palm-sized computer. 3 familiar numbers each received the same text: Riverdale family, 3rd tier clan, patriarch Julian. Come get me tomorrow. After the messages vanished into blue light, I sighed. Just free of their dragnet, yet I'd left some tiger's mouth straight into wolf's den. The night deepened, then a racket erupted next door. I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but the volume climbed until every sound rang clear. Thuds mingled with a woman's fleeting gasps. I finally understood Stella's parting hint. To crush my last hope, the two of them had humbled themselves to the servant's room beside mine and staged this obscene performance. I nearly retched. Thankfully it ended quickly, any longer and I might not have lasted till dawn. At first light the mansion stirred. The locks bustled about preparing for the reality show livestream, apparently forgetting I existed. No one even brought breakfast. Another black mark in my ledger. Stella's voice drifted through the door. Gone was yesterday's arrogance, replaced by humble sweetness. Hi everyone, I'm actress Stella. This is my first reality show, please guide me kindly. Filming had begun. A few keystrokes on my tiny laptop, and the outside feed sprang onto my screen. Today Stella dressed simply, the plain outfit framing her like a fragile white blossom. She introduced the Locke family one by one. Amid the sea of complimentary comment overlay, one blistering question shot to the top. Julian, wasn't his wife Serena? How did it become Stella? Scores of viewers spotted it, and the host gleefully read it aloud. Controversy meant ratings. The Locke clan froze. Julian's mother was first to recover, sorrow flooding her face. Serena passed away 5 years ago. She was a fine girl, fate was cruel. Julian's father went blunter. We're overjoyed to have Stella as our daughter-in-law. We're as close as if she were born to us. Julian piled on, Stella and I truly love each other. Please don't speak of my ex-wife, I can't bear to see Stella hurt. Seizing the moment, the host lavished praise. Stella is gorgeous and professional, she and the Locke heir are a match made in heaven. With love like this, the ex-wife must be turning green-eyed in her grave. Stella's grin escaped, she had to hide it with her hand. I propped my chin in my hand, utterly indifferent. Everything these strangers were doing felt like a soap opera I'd tuned into halfway through. Under the picture-perfect cheer, a commotion suddenly erupted at the front gates. A tall silhouette barged in. Everyone froze, because the intruder was none other than Riverdale's own Sterling. Comments exploded across the livestream. Riverdale. So gorgeous. Did Nuanced spend all her energy sculpting him? Focus, people, why is he even here? Maybe he came for Stella? The Locke family clearly thought the same. Stella hurried forward, placing herself in Sterling's path. Sterling, you're here too, she never finished. Sterling shoved her aside without a glance. Ignoring the clustered onlookers, he strode straight to an inconspicuous servant's door. Hide for a sec. The words made no sense to anyone else, but I understood. I quietly pocketed my things and stepped back. A deafening bang. Sterling kicked the door off its hinges. While everyone gaped, he stood on the threshold and stared straight at me. Serena, found you at last. The room lost its voice, only the comment overlay kept scrolling. Julian's face turned a sickly green, night and day from the man who just cuddled Stella for the cameras. Stella staggered, her perfect facade askew, cheeks flashing red and white like a revolving stage light. Sterling didn't care. He rushed forward and folded me into a careful embrace, afraid to squeeze too hard. "Serena, I've looked everywhere for you." He sounded almost aggrieved. Only then did the host recognize me, shrieking, "Ghost!" Netizens beat everyone to the punch. "Wait, isn't that Julian's dead wife? She's alive?" She backed from the grave to snatch the lost fortune from Stella. Those comments glowed on my laptop, and Sterling's eyes flicked to them. He let out a cold laugh and raised his voice. "Julian's wife? Don't insult her. Being his ex-wife was Serena's former disgrace." He pivoted toward the camera. "Serena wouldn't even glance at me, no way she'd settle for Julian." Dream on. Bedlam, in the studio and online. Still unsatisfied, Sterling raked his gaze across the Locke clan, landing last on Julian's bloodless face, and smirked. "Serena's no longer your wife, yet you kept her locked up. Guess the Lockes have grown too comfortable. Temperatures dropping, time for a bankruptcy filing." I almost hid behind my hands at the cheesy line. Yet the room chilled. Viewers who knew about my football ambition spammed the feed until everyone else caught up. Now they all knew. I tumbled off a cliff, lost my memory, and Sterling of Riverdale had my back. No one dared crash Sterling outright, so the knives came out for the Lockes instead. How delusional must Julian be to think I'd still want him? They'd tried to spirit me away, shameless. Mid-roast, another figure sprinted in, hip-checked Sterling aside, and lunged to kiss me. Only Sterling's quick reflexes kept our lips apart. A heartbeat later, everyone recognized him. It's Logan. Logan's face needs no filter. Half the girls in the room nearly fainted on sight. Stella, a self-declared stan who'd actually met him once, surged forward. "Logan, you got the wrong girl. I'm the one on camera, over here." She honestly thought he'd come for her? Logan didn't spare her a flicker. His whole universe narrowed to me, blocked by Sterling or not. "Serena, I won't force you to marry me anymore. Just don't leave me. Anything you want, it's yours, okay?" Stella shrank back, ignored and mortified, ready to crawl into the floorboards. Nobody cared. Every lens, every eye, pinned me. Julian's skull glowed radioactive green. He lunged, grabbing for my wrist. "Even you, Logan, have some respect." His voice cut off as someone flung him aside. The man wore a white suit and an academic's voice, even the throw looked elegant. Detectives followed at his heels. He never looked away from me, fingers brushing my cheek. "Long time, Serena." Netizens with gigabit Wi-Fi ID'd him within seconds. "That's Silas, Nobel track finale. Serena's eating this well?" Sterling, Logan, Silas, all chasing her? Looks like they haven't caught her yet, LOL. Alternate universe confirmed, Lockes touched the woman Riverdale's Trinity walls. Julian, glowing greener by the second, shrieked, "Serena! Adulteress! You're still my wife, flaunting men everywhere, you shameless." Sterling's foot connected before the slur landed. Julian crashed into a velvet sofa. Logan and Silas arrived half a beat too late to join the kick. Stella trembled on the sidelines, jealous and terrified now that the spotlight had swung away. Richard and Helen couldn't even help their son. They slumped on the couch whispering, "We're finished, it's over." I watched them melt down with detached interest, then turned to the three men orbiting me and flashed a sweet smile. "I've missed 2 meals, I cooed." Pouting, I added, "I'm starving, taking to eat." We hadn't reached the door when a woman's voice rang out, soft, yet it sliced through every other sound. The Locke family really knows how to put on a show. The reality show crew, stunned into silence again and again, finally recovered their professionalism and swung the cameras toward the front gates, desperate for the first shot of whoever was arriving. But when a razor-sharp silhouette strode into view, every sound died. Even the cameramen lowered their rigs. This was not someone they were allowed to film. She flicked across the marble in stilettos, unhurried. She stopped in front of Julian and slapped the folder against his chest. "The band's capital is out," she said. "Every dollar the Lockes were counting on." Without waiting for a reaction, she turned and walked straight toward me while the room held its breath. She halted inches away and looked me up and down. Nobody knew what to do, they were almost afraid to breathe. The woman in front of me was the richest person in the country, and her stare could buckle knees. Then she opened her mouth and dropped the collective jaw of the mansion. How did you let yourself end up like this? Trying to embarrass your sister Savannah on national television? Everyone on set, and every viewer listening to the live stream speakers, erupted. Sterling, Logan, and Silas turned into church mice, not a peep out of them under Savannah's gaze. She went on, voice iced. How brainless do you have to be to get yourself snatched? Were you planning on me flying halfway across the world to fish you out? Savannah's aura was a thundercloud, even I kept quiet, only daring to flick my eyes toward the three men. How did you drag Savannah down? They answered with panicked glances, but before I could decipher them, Savannah's single hand snapped them to attention, eyes front. Silas broke the silence first, though not to Savannah. The locks are impressive, kidnapping Serena, he said. The detectives I brought will be digging deep. Sterling followed instantly, aggro locked and loaded. I keep my promises. The Locke family deserves bankruptcy, and my family will make sure they taste every penny draining away. Logan refused to be left out. After this airing, I doubt my fans will ever buy Locke branded anything again. Happy to speed the process. Only then did Savannah storm ease. I hurried forward and looped my arm through hers. Savannah, I'm starving. They wouldn't feed me, 2 meals missed, I shrunk. Tell me to fatten me up when we get back. She tucked me toward the door. Fine. Let's go home. Sterling, Logan, and Silas fell in behind us. Julian, still dazed, suddenly lunged after me, shrieking, Serena, you're my wife. You are not walking out. Thud. Logan's boot connected. Julian hit the floor unconscious. Logan smirked at Sterling. St. Clair cast laughing? He actually got back up. After our motorcade left, the remaining staff inside the Locke mansion finally exhaled, as if waking from a fever dream. The reality show livestream never cut, every second surged across the internet. Partner companies and allied families raced over, contracts in hand, slapping termination notices onto any Locke who blinked. Stella's commercial brands tweeted instant severance and lifetime blacklists. The comment overlay kept exploding. OMG, did the Locke ancestors raise implode? They kidnapped Serena? If they played nice with the ex-wife, the Vance empire might have tossed them a lifeline. Instead they nuked themselves. First I wondered why Riverdale Sterling, Logan, and Silas all chased Serena. Now I'm jealous, they get to chase her. I want in. You're after her money, those three are after her heart. Stay in your lane. When Julian finally came to, his first move was to throttle Stella, pinning her to the rug. It's all you. If I hadn't married you, Serena would still be my wife. The Vance fortune would be mine. I'll kill you and she'll come back. Stella clawed at his wrists, gasping, pleading to Julian's parents. They looked away. His father cursed aloud. Useless woman. You've locked our family's jackpot. The Locks were supposed to be rolling in Vance cash. Nearby detectives broke it up before it turned into a homicide. Capital pulled out, consumers boycotted, regulators sworn, each blow worse than the last. The knockout punch, auditors uncovered a colossal embezzlement clip. Julian nearly blackened out. When we traced the trail, the truth floored him. Every missing cent led to Stella. Starting the month she married in, she had siphoned company funds nonstop for years. Julian turned vicious, demanding divorce and full restitution, or he'd bury her in court. Stella had no money. The internet had cancelled her, termination notices piled into mountains of. Worse, loan sharks stormed the gates. From their shouting, the world learned Stella was a gambling addict. 10 bets and 9 losses, and she couldn't stop. Debts stacked high enough to bury 3 lifetimes. In her desperation she had zeroed in on me. An orphan heiress had cracked the Locke dynasty, so she assumed she could too, marrying Julian to settle her martyrdom. The wedding to Julian was equally engineered, and the loft clan, already plotting to unload me, had raced to replace me with Stella without even confirming my death. In a twisted way, their cruelty handed me back my real family. Should I thank her or convict her? You bitch. You wicked bitch. When Julian heard the full story, rage shredded his sanity. He refused to blame his own greed or lousy judgment. It was all Stella's sinister scheme that ruined him and cost him the Vance golden ticket. Years of embezzlement still hadn't cleared her debts because she kept sneaking back to the tables. Richard finally snapped, smacking Stella across the face. Jinx. You're killing us. He swallowed a fast-acting aspirin with bitter regret to keep from fainting, almost crying. If it weren't for you, Serena would have been our family's lucky star. Oh. Stella collapsed on the floor, falling, throwing caution to the wind and screaming. Your whole family is full of phonies. Think Serena would ever cozy up to you without the Vance name? Keep dreaming. You're transparent. When I could pull investors, you treated me like royalty and treated Serena worse than trash. Now Serena's useful again and you're sorry, blaming everything on me, thinking she'll take you back? PFF, self-delusional daylight hallucination. When the circus ended, both the debt collectors and Stella were escorted away by detectives. Although the Locke family kept me overnight, the offense wasn't serious, just a warning. Which suited me perfectly. If they'd landed behind bars, the bankruptcy filing wouldn't have looked half as satisfying. Less than 3 days after the livestream drama, the Locke company announced bankruptcy. Every asset was seized. They left the mansion with nothing but a few tattered garments, the three of them practically begging for scraps. I hadn't lifted a finger, hadn't needed to. I'd meant to handle it myself, but Savannah's appearance that day let anyone with eyes see the Vance dynasty didn't have to dirty its hands. People lined up to curry favor by doing it for us. Stuck at home, I followed the farce through reports, clicking my tongue at the spectacle. After I wore Savannah down with endless pleading, she finally let me visit headquarters for a dose of the real world. I enjoyed exactly one lighthearted day. As I left the office, 3 filthy silhouettes lunged at me. Luckily Sterling, Logan, and Silas knew Savannah had released me and were waiting at the curb. They sprang forward, shielding me. I peeked from behind them and recognized the bargain bin ex-husband. Julian shoved at Sterling's shoulder, whining. Out of my way. If it weren't for you three, she'd never treat me like this. She still loves me, she can't bear to leave me. Spotting my face, he shouted with Oscar-worthy pathos. Serena. His tone made those 2 syllables climb across the pavement. I know you still love me. You're the only one in my heart. Stella seduced me, but deep down I never forgot you. I didn't look for you because I refused to believe you were dead. The moment I heard you were alive, I ran straight to you, right? Stop being angry, marry me again. We'll build a new life together. My mouth twitched. I didn't know which part of that garbage to dissect first. Even Logan, the king of banter, was struck speechless. Our silence, predictably, lit a spark of hope in the 3 Locks. Julian's father chimed in, Serena, dear, Richard knows you're forgiving. Remember the good old days? You were an orphan and Julian still married you. It's kismet. You belong together. Helen nodded non-stop, still playing the caring mom card. Sweetheart, we only want what's best. If pride keeps you from Julian, you'll regret it. Come home, child. I've always seen you as my daughter, don't break my heart. The 2 of them mom and dad so hard that strangers might think I'd sprung from their genes. Click, 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 stilettos approached, everyone turned. Savannah. Funny, I wasn't aware the Vance family had suddenly gained 2 extra elders. She lifted an eyelid, radiating more menace than Sterling ever could. Trash like you dares call itself my sister's parents? Check your reflection. Helen started to retort, but Julian yanked her sleeve and she subsided. Apparently he located a few brain cells and decided to speak human. Sis, Vance, shouldn't Serena decide? Even you can't forbid her to marry. Savannah's gaze slid past him to me. Translation, your call. A ring of eyes tightened around me. The locks looked desperate. I opened my mouth slowly. Deaf to human language as usual. I'm no Savannah, lacking her gravitas, I opened with pure profanity. Amnesia, those 2 words too tough for you? I don't know any of you. Even if every memory returns, I'll still have 0 to do with you. I pointed at Julian, watching his face crumble. What exactly are you? Ugly, flabby, broke, what could I possibly want? Isn't Sterling hot enough for Riverdale? Logan not good enough? Silas somehow below you? Quit polluting my eyes, mediocre yet confident. Under my machine gun brand, bodyguards hustled the locks away. Silence at last. But the moment Julian vanished, the remaining trio pinned me with laser eyes. Sterling, I'm delicious, come take a whiff. Logan, not good enough? Want a test drive? Silas, clearly I outrank him, so, yes? Savannah didn't even wave goodbye, she spun and left the scene. I faced them alone. I dared not answer, tiptoeing backward, planning an escape. They read my mind and boxed me in. Day off tomorrow? Let's go have fun. They spoke in perfect unison. I looked left, right, then bolted. Company swamped, no time to play. Thanks for listening. If you liked the story, smash the like and share with friends. Tell us your thoughts below. Don't forget to subscribe for more. See you next episode.